What drug was the hardest for me to stay away from and stay off of? What's up, you guys? My name's Nicole Pludre, and I'm a person in long-term recovery. I got sober July 13th of 2015, and I have fortunately, thank God, had not had any relapses in between that time. I'm going to share with you guys from my experience which drug was the hardest for me to stay off of. And the way I'm going to explain this is basically, what drug do I have the most cravings and triggers and thoughts of wanting to use, therefore making it difficult and making me work extra hard to stay away from that substance. So let's get into it. So mentally, the drug that's been hardest for me to stay off of has been methamphetamine. It is one of the only drugs that I still have thoughts about using and triggers that are still like highly sensitive. Even after 8 years of being off of methamphetamine, I'm still very triggered by my own weight, and that's something that I've been working really hard on, and I have some things I'll be updating you guys on in the next week to tell you about some things I've been doing about my weight. Also, like, my lack of energy has also been something that kind of like made me think about wanting to use meth. But I use my coping skills, I snitch on my addiction, and I tell people when I'm struggling, and that's what's helped me to stay sober all these 8 years. So at number one, methamphetamine has been the hardest for me. Number two, the second hardest drug for me, and this has more to do with how sick I was and how long I was sick after I got off the drug, would be benzodiazepines for me. So after I got off benzos, it's really important for y'all to know that I was ripped off of benzos cold turkey because I was caught taking them in rehab. And I was taken off of them, and for about 8 months after I was taken off of them, I had really bad burning of the skin. I had tendinitis, I think is what it's called. It's where it has a ringing in your ears and it doesn't go away, and that was for like 8 months. I also had really bad diarrhea and heart palpitations, like sudden onsets of like out of nowhere. And the third hardest thing for me to stay off of has been opioid. I think the reason why I put it last is because I am on a medication-assisted treatment, which is Suboxone, and I know that that has a big part to play in why I don't crave opioids at all. I haven't even thought about using opiates since the day I got on medication-assisted treatment, which I am on Suboxone. But, you know, medication-assisted treatment doesn't cure addiction, and so I have had to work really hard to change my behaviors, learn coping skills, and talk about how I feel. And one of my main coping skills for not picking up drugs and alcohol is called snitching on my motherfucking addiction. That's what I call it. And basically what that means is telling on my disease, telling people when I'm struggling and when I'm thinking about using or when I'm depressed and just having a hard time. And when I tell on myself and I let people know that I'm struggling, I get people rallying around me and supporting me, and that has helped me so much to stay away from drugs and alcohol. And that's how I've been able to basically put together these last 8 years. That, therapy, and recovery support from a mentor/sponsor kind of. So yeah, those are the 3 drugs that have been hardest for me to stay away from. I was a poly drug addict. The worst drug for me to stay away from was methamphetamines. The second worst drug was benzos, and the third was opioids. What about you guys? Let me know what has been the toughest thing for you to stay off of. And also let me know, were you a poly substance user, or did you abuse multiple substances, and were you addicted to multiple substances, or were you a one drug kind of girl or guy? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to check out my series, Life After Meth, my experience about losing custody of my son, reading my CPS paperwork, as well as my MAT recovery program. They're all linked right here.